Okay, my wonderful friends, before I get started, I just want to thank CERN for proving exactly what I told the University of Geneva several years back, that we could create cosmic ray energies using photons. Now, what am I talking about? Well, cosmic ray energy, how much energy is that? Well, I'll show you. Visible light only uses like 3.5 electron volts. They show one that had kicked off, I don't know, 10 electron volts, and they were really happy about how it increased the energy up from 1.5 up to 10. Now, what is a cosmic ray energy? When you get up into gamma rays, it's pretty powerful. Those are like up to 3 mega electron volts, millions. Alpha particles, those are killers. They emit up to 10 mega electron volts. Well, cosmic rays are the muons. They emit up to 1,000 trillion electron volts. How do you get cosmic rays? You have to create muons. How do you create muons? Okay, this is the course I took at the University of Geneva through Coursera. No credit for anything, but I got to interact with them. That's all I was looking to do. Now, what is this course supposed to do? It introduces you to subatomic physics, the physics of nuclei and particles. More specifically, the questions that will be addressed are: what are the concepts of particle physics? How are they implemented? What are the properties of an atomic nuclei? How can one use them? How does one accelerate and detect particles and measure their properties? What does one learn from particle reactions, high energies, and particle decays? How do electromagnetic interactions work, and how can one use them? How do strong interactions work, and why are they difficult to understand? How do weak interactions work, and why are they so special? What's the mass of objects? How does the Higgs boson intervene? How does one search for new phenomena based on the known ones? What can learn from particle physics concerning astrophysics and the universe as a whole? Now, and then it goes on to say it's cut up into 8 modules and so forth. Courses in English language structured in 8 modules, following the first one, which introduces our subject. Modules 2, nuclear physics, accelerator detectors, all the same stuff I'm showing. Now, they have a video here. Now, this is their interaction with 2 huge particles hitting head on and splashing just debris, and that's what they were digging through. And when I went there, I interacted with the professors, and they were interested in my research. And just after that, they shut down the Large Hadron Collider to make it focus, instead of they were just passing by hoping something would hit. Well, they put magnets in so that they could focus. I believe that's what they did. Now, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I think I'm right. And I did go to here about the time of this video. All right, this video is from 2017. And this is about particle physics at the University of Geneva. And here's what his final statements are.
So, once again, welcome to the course Particle Physics and Introduction.
Oops, that was kind of too far off the end. Hold on, let's go back here. They're talking about what you're going to learn here. And it gets deep. They say you're going to learn everything. I just told you that. And that's everything there is, literally.
At the end of this course, you will be able to answer questions from your friends about the subatomic world, and you will be well prepared to continue your studies. So, once again, welcome to the course Particle Physics and Introduction.
Okay, now, when they started this video, they said you should have to have 3 years of this, and you have to know all kind of different calculations over. Well, you really don't have to know any of that stuff, because we showed light, and we showed all of these particles that they have spoken about, and they spoke to me about them. And then, like I say, they shut down the Large Hadron Collider, and it now just reopened, and now they're finding all the same particles I showed them back in I think it was 2015, 16, 17, right around. This is 2017, and I think that's about right when they shut it down to start over again, or 2018, 2019, I don't know. Well, it's actually not too hard to create muons. What you have to do is accelerate light, which they say is impossible. Well, it's done fairly easily. And then you split the particles, which is the muon electron neutrinos, which would have been the black ball and the white ball. You see the black ball is here. There was a white ball attached to it, which was the electron neutrino. But when it smashed into the Venturi, only the white could squirt right through. Now, this is understood too. It's not something I'm making up. Here is the actual particle. And these are the squirty little buggers. They have virtually no mass, and they can squirt right through that tiny little slit. The black one never changes. It's what Don Lincoln calls a fixed particle with a glowy edge. All right, and here it is right up here. This is the one that Don Lincoln says he could see. In 2013, they found these particles, identical particles, and there's absolutely no difference whatsoever. And but they just see them, and they know that they're the tiniest things they could find. Well, they're a lot more than that. Everything is constructed of those. They are dipoles. They're attached. That's what they are. That's what an electron is. Nobody ever knew about the dark side. Two of them together here and two of them back to back makes a photon. Let me show you that. Well, actually, you did see that. There it is right there. That's a photon. However, we were able to separate the black from the white. That's fission. You see right down here? That's fission. The black separated from the white. This should be trillions of electron volts. See what it says? That's what it says. If these are muons, and that's exactly what it says, muon neutrinos, muon. You see that black ball? These black balls are the muons. They go around and they reattach out here. But in the meantime, it's fission back to fusion. And I can see the increase in energy is exponential. I mean, look at it. The blast is enormous. So it could very well be trillions of electron volts. And if that is correct, we should be able to harvest free energy almost immediately. Because all it would take, when I say all it would take, it's, you know, trust me, this is not something that's as simple as a 5-minute job. But in 30 days, or even less, we will know, can this increase the energy here if we put a collector here? I say absolutely. If you can't see that, I don't know what you're missing. And we have a laser running, let's say 5 watts. Even if we just got 1,000 watts out instead of 1 trillion, we'd have a ton of extra electricity. And these things can be done in a speck of an eye. So you put 1,000 of them in a little lunchbox and you power your house, your car, your airplane, it doesn't matter. No residual effect to the environment, no combustion, strictly raw electricity flowing through electrical motors and lights and whatever. This is the most important thing to understand. The Bohr model doesn't work. Standard model, no good. Only thing that can work is dipole electron flood theory. We can see them, we saw the blacks and the whites, and we can see them attached together as photons. Showed you all this. A proton, it happens to become stable at a certain resonance value. And the smallest resonance value that's pretty stable is hydrogen, and that is 1835 of these little particles attached together in a ball. And that ball makes like a crust around the black part. The blacks go to the center. They don't mind being on top of each other. The whites hate each other. So they go to the outside, and they force the black to go on the inside. And they did an experiment in space that showed this, where that black core showed up where they had charged particles surrounding it, and they freaked out. I've shown that a zillion times too. So what can we do here? If we can create, like I said, well, let me just finish up by showing you what all of these things are if you had to label. And here they are labeled. We have a photon coming in. All right, that's just a light particle. It has 2 black particles and really just barely any glowy, but because it's not really hitting anything to make it glow. As it starts to back up against the Venturi, I showed you, it begins to glow and glow like crazy. Spikes come out of it and everything. And then it's split here. So this is the photon, not excited. This is the photon excited. These are sterile muons, the black ones. They've separated away from the white. The white gets crushed, and what happens is it keeps coming bam, 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 bam. And these black ones are just like hammers, and they squirt that white right through. And then it comes through here. These black ones must be laying around here, excess black ones. That's the only thing I can think of, because they jump right in to reattach to the white, but only at a certain distance, because the white is so powerful. It wants to be away from each other so much that it won't let the black ones in. Then all of a sudden, pew, They all come in, and then the Higgs fields show. And that's it right there. Here's the light going this way, and then it turns into a beam, and then it explodes there, and creates the Higgs fields and the separation of powers. Okay, I believe I bragged about going to the University of Geneva, which I did, and they were very thorough. I had no problem with them whatsoever, except they wouldn't engage in the discussion about what I did. But shortly thereafter, they shut down the Large Hadron Collider. And here it is coming back online after 3-year shutdown. And immediately they're finding the same particles I showed. Now, the reason they're doing it is because they focused it. Before, they were just letting them try to bang into each other by accident. You know, if I'm wrong, again, tell me I'm wrong, and let's discuss it. But what they did was they made these funnels so that they would come down and just splash all over. Here's what they're saying. Listen, exactly what I just said. The voltages they've come up with are 6.8 tera electron volts. That's the TeVs. Trillions. So they're really tweaked. They're off the walls. It says Europe's Large Hadron Collider started up its proton beams. Protons. I'm using photons. It doesn't matter because protons, they end up being photons. If you can break them, which they finally have been able to do, but then they still have nothing but debris. We can focus them in and use them. They get unprecedented energy levels after going through a 3-year shutdown for upgrades to make it focus. It only took a couple of days. I mean, as soon as you got them focusing, they're hitting all over the place to reach a record energy level 6.8 tera electron volts. I think we're even higher than that. And again, we are focusing. We're not just having a splash of stuff happen everywhere. It exceeds the previous record of 6.5. At the start of the particle collider's second run. The new level comes very close to the design energy of 7 tetraelectron volts. Anyway, they go through and they talk about, they have a video and all this stuff. And what they're doing is sending these gigantic protons around a huge collider, smashing them head on. So they're getting the same effect, but they just have a bunch of debris. That's the problem. Okay, my outstanding friends and now students, I am about to show you the introduction to why I feel competent to address virtually any issue that there is in science. And if I am right about dipole electron flood and about the Earth being constructed of biological things, and about our history, and about what's in space, and about anthropology and archaeology, and every other science, 100% of everything changes. 100%. History, geology, physics, on the subatomic level. Above the subatomic level, when you get into these periods of stability, then yes, I can go along with that. And the reason is they're stable is because at a certain frequency they lock in a stability. But in between these, there's not just one proton or 2 neutrons. There's 100,000 different particles because every single proton is constructed of 1,835 electrons. 1,836 is a neutron. Now, I'm just going to explain to you today why I feel comfortable to talk about this. And I go back to 1968 when I went in the Army. Before that, I was with General Electric rebuilding big, huge generator things. But then I went in the Army in 1968, and I was with Nike Hercules missiles. And then when I got out, I went right into physics, and this is some of the work I did then. This goes back, as you can see. And this was about trying to understand acids and salts, the difference between heat changes in these different temperatures, and what was changing. Why was salt a whole different story than the acids? What was going on there? Well, it comes to find out that after all these changes occur, it ends up being electricity. All right? You always end up with electricity. 100% of the time. Electric power. All power is electric. It's electrons moving. Now, then this was somewhat, I know this is bragging, but if you're going to want to learn from me, you're going to want to know that I have some expertise in this. And again, I can't even remember a lot of this stuff because a lot of this stuff was my interpretation of what's going on. Even like this right here, thermodynamic variables, path independence, where I say that the path independence doesn't matter how you get from A to B, the different states of energy, whether it has to move through, anyway, it goes on. This is very, very detailed. And I did everything all the way down. Here, let me put this down because it's going to become a mess. It's very old stuff. But I tell you, this has been fun looking back through, the attractive case for bonding, resonance, double bonds, valence bonding, all of these different things, hybridizations, all the organic molecules. This was a big paper I did on a lot of stuff. That was pretty much my electron flood theory. And then magnetic properties and all of this. Now, two types of intermolecular forces, dipole, dipole. That's it. There is nothing but dipoles. And the transfer of energy is from light into atomic vapor. The atomic vapor condenses and makes everything from photons up to atomic bombs. And I had all this stuff down back then and got destroyed by the system. Rutherford's atom was wrong. I have over here somewhere. The Bohr was wrong. It is nothing but dipole. See, a dipole, dipole, dipole. Everything was a dipole. But anyway, this goes on and on and on. And I did it pretty deep. As you can see, this was not just 15-minute work here. And not only that, I've been doing this for the rest of my life, and then I went through the chemistry and all this. And I've taken courses just recently basically, this is why I want to show you Coursera. This is where you want to learn stuff. They don't give you a degree, so nobody's, you don't have a degree. Who cares you've got a degree? If you learn the stuff and you understand the stuff, who cares? Even back then, look, Millikan's oil drop experiment, the charge on an electron, how it flutters in between with a magnetic charge. If you don't understand everything, you understand nothing. All right, and this is my final stuff that I still do to this day. I mean, I know I'm a little bit compulsive, but it's what it is. We have to start taking a position and understanding what our lives are about, and every single thing there is changes 100%. If you go with what I'm talking about, and you're going to have to after you see what I'm talking about, because you can't deny it. And if you do deny it, I wanted you to deny it as an expert having been trained in the mainstream and then stand up to me on Zoom. I say dipole electron flood theory, and this little triangle means changes, and therefore means therefore. I mean, this little 3 dots means therefore. It's just so that when I start doing my atomic stuff, and talking about changes, and this means therefore that, I don't have to write all these things out. Now, I'm calling it Newledge. It's Rogers Knewledge. If it's correct, what changes? 100% of everything. There's nothing that doesn't change. Nothing. Space is loaded with stuff that we never expected was there, including all the light particles and everything that I show. The myths could be very well true. They seem to be well supported. Geology is biology. Physics is completely wrong on the subatomic level. That's my email, rspur@gmail.com. I can only address somebody that really wants to get deep into this and confront my theories. Now, either they, or at least to discuss them. I'm not saying confront them. I don't want to fight with anybody. I want to interact. I want to discuss. I want to engage. Now, here's my background. As you just saw, those are my papers, so that bragging's out of the way. Here's some more bragging for you. They send me these things all the time because I am heavily engaged in Coursera. And these are things we combed our catalog, found courses we think match your interests. Well, they do. And I'm telling you, this thing was absolutely fabulous. Look at all this stuff. And it's free. I never paid them a penny. 2 photons and more. I think I went to that Ecole, that's in France. But I'll show you the ones I did go to. Look at all this stuff, free. Now, you don't get any credit for this, but let me tell you something. If you went to your prospective employer and you brought out a book like this, and you said, well, you know, of course it would be a little more cleaner than this, but you went to magnetism and said, let's talk about magnetism. There's 5 types of magnetism. Here's what I know about magnetism. And go on and on and on and brag about it in front of your prospective employer. Say, I didn't pay Yale or Harvard to teach me this. I learned it from them. Now it's time to confront them. And that's what I did. I went to all of these places to confront them. I went everywhere. Hold on one second. Here's one here. I went to the University of Geneva, Switzerland, into particle physics. And I showed them my stuff. And I showed them how we focused and created photons and broke them apart and made the muons and electron neutrinos. Nobody fought with me. They listened. They said, we'll follow you. And that's the last I heard from them. And then they shut down the CERN for 3 years to focus it. Take it for whatever it means, but that's exactly what did happen. Now, I went to this one here. What do we got here? I went to Rice for chemistry. I don't know why I went to Rice specifically, but it was fabulous. They were very, very good. I did that. And of course, this is on Coursera. I went to Johns Hopkins, and I had this guy, Steven Salzberg, as my professor about genomics. And he's got all kinds of degrees in Yale and Harvard and all that business. We did not hit it off well because I wanted him to look at my stuff in the Mudfossil stuff, and he just really let me have it. I mean, I'm not kidding. Never took a look at anything. Now, this is another one. This is just about DNA and methylated CPG islands. That's just something else we're going to talk about. I thought that was something I could show you about. Well, anyway, I went through all kinds of different courses. I went through Yale. You can go to Yale. You can go to any of them. They're almost all online. But you don't get any credit. Who cares? Make yourself a nice, good-looking book like this, and whatever you're heavily interested in, you draw it all out and make it something where you can walk in and say, I understand this, I understand this, I understand. And if you follow me, you will understand it, because I don't make things confusing. Okay, as you saw, I am qualified to train people in these different disciplines. Now, whether you get a degree or not, no, you're not going to get a degree from me per se at this point. You're going to learn what is the true, and instead of being trained by dogma and told to repeat what you're told, you're going to actually be able to think and view for yourself and make your own decisions. You cannot do that in colleges and universities anymore. If you try to fight the system, they will destroy you. They did to everybody since forever. As soon as they have power, they say, if you don't say what I tell you, I will destroy your life, basically, because you're going to pay me a bunch of money and I'm going to tell everybody you're a failure because you won't say what I told you. So that time is over. Okay. You're not going to get a regular diploma from Yale or Harvard or any of those, but all you're going to do is learn what they tell you to say, and you have to say what they tell you to say. They even tell you that. In the quantum physics, the first thing the professor says is, nobody understands physics, so understands quantum, so just to say what I say, and you're going to be okay. I'm not kidding you. You should go up there and watch it. Double slit experiment on Yale. I went through these courses, and they're meaningless because they're just a bunch of hyperbole that nobody understands, and he says he doesn't understand it. And I'm sure that show that in the physics quantum section of the research that I'm showing you. But every single thing changes. Once you change the subatomic nature of particles, everything from there changes, everything. Biology changes. I've shown everything changes according to what my knowledge is. If it is correct, you're going to have to start over. And your best bet is to start making a book like this. Because nobody's got any knowledge now. Nobody's in control of knowledge except me. That's right. I make that claim, step in front of me and say, no, Roger, you're wrong, and here's why. And then we'll compare evidence on a Zoom. Not something where you just demean me and tell me to go read chapter 27 of Bohr theory or some nonsense like that. Even a Space Hubble telescope, they know this is saturated with particles. Even this Webb telescope got hit with a particle. I mean, it's just, they're everywhere. Light is everywhere. So they know the Hubble has to be interacting with that. Still, they go right along with the redshift. We know exactly how far these things are from us. We know everything about everything. Well, no. Refusing to engage, you can make those dictates and spew dogma, but it's not going to hold up anymore. So get yourself a book. Start recording everything that I'm talking about and see if you can understand it. And then when, at some point or other, as we go forward, I'm hoping to be able to put a degree program together so that somebody can speak to you or review your papers to say, does this person understand both sides? Because we want you to understand the mainstream and Newledge, because Newledge is completely new, and ledge. All right, so you're going to learn Newledge here. You're going to record it for yourself if you're interested in getting a good job, because very soon they're going to say, hey, if you learn this from Mudfossil University, we'll accept you. If you got this from Yale or Harvard, get out, take a hike. You just wasted your money.